Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Hellhound Superman Collection video, Part 2, here on the Horror, Metal, and Comics channel. That's right, yeah, yesterday we took a look at most of my individual comic book issues featuring the Man of Steel, and today we're going to look at books. Pretty much anything you can read that's not a comic book format, you know, graphic novels, trade paperback, collected editions, omnibus collections, you know, hardcovers, just anything you can read that's not a comic book. So yeah, let's go and get started. The Big Blue Boy Scout, the last son of Krypton, Kal-El, sent here from the doomed planet by his father Jor-El to become Superman, the first superhero who debuted in Action Comics issue 1 from 1938 during the golden age of comics. He was created by Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel. And so that'll be the first book we look at. It's the Superman Chronicles Volume 1, which collects Action Comics issue 1, as well as a lot of the early Superman stories in exact chronological order from the pages of Action Comics and Superman Volume 1. So yeah, we get to see there's the iconic cover, him carrying picking up the car. Action Comics 1, the very first superhero comic, basically, yeah. Joe Shuster and Jerry Siegel created the character, and yeah, it gives a brief origin. Yeah, explained that he came here. He was sent by a scientist from a doomed planet, and then he was placed in an orphanage. I don't think his adoptive parents, Jonathan and Martha. I think she was called Mary in the early comics. I don't think they make an appearance in this Action Comics issue 1. But yeah, there's the first time we see Superman. It's interesting to note that in these early appearances, he actually could not fly. He just jumped really, really high. He could leap tall buildings in a single bound. So I think for like at least 2 years, he didn't have the power of flight. It's just the Superman radio show thought that like he was flying when they saw those panels where he was like really, really high up in the air, and so then I guess the writer said, "Oh, let's just make him fly," because the radio show thought that he could fly, and so hell, if you could leap a tall building and then land on the ground without being heard, screw it, you might as well just be able to fly. You know, yeah. So the first appearance of Clark Kent, aka Superman, and Lois Lane, and yeah, just pretty much just him saving people and all that. Yeah. Bullets bouncing off of him when, you know, criminals shoot him. He wasn't on the cover of a whole lot of the Action Comics issues that followed around that time for the first few, but then he started appearing on every cover, starting with one of the later issues after these. So yeah, this one collects Action Comics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I believe that, let's see, I think that Yeah, a lot of them have multiple stories. And it also collects Superman issue 1, Superman Volume 1, issue 1. And that retells his origin story. And I think part of it's kind of a reprint of some of the Action Comics. So let's go and look at that. It's on page 194. Yeah, he gets a job at the Daily Planet and wears some glasses in disguise as Clark Kent, even though we all know he's Superman. But he's wearing glasses, so, you know, they look nothing alike. So yeah, just like with the Batman Chronicles, Volume 1, it's, you know, has all the early stories in order, like I said, but honestly, these early Superman stories are a little formulaic, and they're kind of the same thing, and they kind of get a little repetitive and then monotonous. Okay, yeah, here's the first supervillain Superman ever faced, the Ultra Humanite, who was bald, like a lot of Superman villains. Interestingly enough, though, Lex Luthor had hair when he first appeared. We'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, a lot of Superman villains were bald. Yeah, the Ultra Humanite had vast intellectual, mental powers, and but he was paralyzed. And then later, of course, he transferred his brain, his consciousness into a albino gorilla. So yeah, the Ultra Humanite was the first supervillain Superman ever faced. And yeah, there's Superman issue 1, which retells the origin. He was sent in a rocket ship as a baby from Krypton. He was discovered to, you know, have extraordinary strength due to Earth's yellow sun. But I don't think that the whole yellow sun aspect played a part in this yet, because I think that they established in the early comics that everybody on Krypton, every Kryptonian, even on their home planet, were super strong, could jump really high. Like, maybe they weren't indestructible yet, because then if they were, if the planet exploded, how'd they all die off? You know, I guess the irradiated fragments of their planet, which became kryptonite, Superman's only weakness, maybe that did it. But I'm kind of glad they retconned it to where it's just Earth's yellow sun gave him his power, and Krypton had a red sun, so he wasn't. Yeah, retells the origin. Yeah, Jonathan Mary Kent adopted him. Yeah, she was renamed Martha later. Yeah, they adopted him as their own, and they die early on. Like in the later comics, the post-crisis comics and stuff, established that they stayed alive all these years. And yeah, there's Krypton. Yeah, there's all the Kryptonians jumping really high and being super strong and stuff. Yeah, I think I like it better when he's when only he's strong because he's on Earth. But yeah, that's Superman Chronicles Volume 1, the early adventures of the Man of Steel. Here's Volume 2. Again, yeah, most of these are written by Jerry Siegel and illustrated by Jerry Schuster as well, just like the ones in Volume 1. Yeah, I think the Ultra Humanite makes another appearance in Action Comics issue 14. Yeah, still confined to a wheelchair and still using his advanced brain powers. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, it's really funny how many of Superman's villains were bald, especially in the early days. Even General Zod, who we'll get to later. But yeah, anyway, this one collects Action Comics numbers 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, and then Superman issue 2 and 3. So yeah, yeah, that's what Superman looked like back then, of course. So yeah, pretty interesting to see where it all started. Kind of like a, kind of like an artifact from the ancient past. To see the evolution of the characters, see some of these earlier stories, see how much the characters changed throughout the years, how much he's evolved. Yeah, see where it all began. So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you're a fan. Just want to see where it all began. But as interesting as these are, they're by no means my favorite version of the character. But anyway, well, here's another trade paperback collected edition. This is Superman versus Lex Luthor. These are like just a collection of a bunch of Lex Luthor stories. I believe there's like 12 in here. Yeah, featuring the talents of the great John Byrne, Jeff Loeb, Kurt Swan, Dan Jurgens. Yeah, some of my favorite comic book writers and artists, and these various assorted collections of stories. Yeah, pretty interesting to see where Lex Luthor all began. Yeah, there's a forward in the front, and then yeah, his first appearance was Action Comics 23 in 1940, and yeah, like I said, he did have hair. There is another villain in that who's bald. I guess he was working for Lex, who's just identified as Luthor in here. He's still like a criminal mastermind. But he's not quite as interesting as he would be later. I think that's him right there. Yeah, like I said, he has hair, and he's not all that threatening yet. Or not, he's not that fleshed out yet. Yeah, pretty cool to see these early stories. It hits Superman with a green beam that I don't think is kryptonite, so kind of interesting. I don't think kryptonite came about until a little later. But yeah, some really early Lex Luthor stories. Yeah, at the beginning, he just kind of like would kidnap somebody and hold them for ransom or something. Like he wasn't like skilled in like machinery, and he wasn't like a technological wizard yet. And yeah, here's one where Superboy, the young Kal-El, was friends with Lex, and then caused him to go bald, and then that's why Lex hates him so much in this continuity. Yeah, you made me go bald. I'm gonna be your worst enemy. Yeah, there's some kryptonite. Yeah, some of these early stories are a little silly, and then here's the showdown between Lex and Superman, where they fight on a planet with a red sun, so they're evenly matched, and it's kind of interesting, but Superman still wins, of course. And then, what else do we have here? The Luthor Nobody Knows. Yeah, that's like, there's a flashback of how Superboy accidentally calls him to go bald, and so yeah, and it's just as silly in this one. Alright, Luthor Unleashed. That's the one in Action Comics issue 544, which I showed you in my last video, my comic book collection, and that's the first appearance of his mechanical super suit. Yeah, it's a very long story. Yeah, there it is. Hold on. Yeah, first time he wears the super suit. And then there's an illustration by George Perez of Wonder Woman Gods and Mortals fame. Yeah, he drew that. The new Luthor. Yeah, evening the odds a little bit with his super suit. And then, yeah, there's some newer stories in here, yeah. Of course, Lex Luthor is his arch nemesis. It's the ultimate brain versus brawn battle, which is interesting. So yeah, if you want a good collection of Lex Luthor stories, here's that issue 4 from that 6-issue Man of Steel limited series that we looked at in the last video. I got a bunch more Superman comics coming in the mail, by the way, so I might have to make a part 6 and look at a few more Superman comics. Yeah, he had hair when he first appeared in this one as well, but then I guess he shaved it all off. So yeah, some early Superman stories, and then featuring his arch nemesis Lex Luthor. Yeah, from several different eras. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Then we have another one for Brainiac. It's pretty much the same type of deal. That Superman versus Lex Luthor. Yeah, Superman versus Brainiac. All kinds of stories featuring the alien warlord who also has who's also a intellectual genius, much like Lex, but he has green skin, and he was revealed to be an android. But then in the post-crisis versions, it was retconned to where he's actually a living being, a Kilowog mastermind who transferred his consciousness into a human form here on Earth, and is still an evil genius. Yeah, so Brainiac first appeared in Action Comics issue 242. Yeah, super duel in space. He's got a force field, a shrink ray. He was the one who shrunk that Kryptonian city of Kandor. And yes, that's his first appearance, Brainiac. We didn't know he was an android yet until a few issues later. We actually teamed up with Lex Luthor. Here's one where Lana and Lois, Lana Lang and Lois Lane, Superman's two loves, both get superpowers. Well, and then Brainiac returns to wreak more havoc. And here's the one where he teams up with Luthor, the team of Luthor and Brainiac. And it's the one where we discover he's an android. It has his backstory, but then I actually prefer him to be a living being, being a sentient AI that just inhabits different machines was always kind of boring to me. Though it's done really well in the cartoon, which we'll get to in another collection episode. All right, so yeah, I really like that 3-issue arc with when the exploding. The explosion from Krypton finding its way, the light traveling all the way to Earth all these decades later. And Brainiac uses that to his advantage. Alright, and then we have Brainiac's new look. And I have that individual issue I showed in my last video. It's Action Comics 544. Yeah, it's the same one where Lex Luthor gets his super suit. And Brainiac gets a new look, looking way more machine, than man. And it's also the first appearance of his skull ship with the tentacles. So yeah, pretty cool to see these early Brainiac stories. And then it even has a few from the post-crisis version. Yeah, the Amazing Brainiac and Adventures of Superman. I've got that one coming in the mail too. I'll show in another video. Adventures of Superman issue 438. Yeah, he transfers his consciousness to Milton Fine, who's like a magician type person in a circus. He has telepathic powers, so Brainiac can now move things with his mind. Yeah, he's actually Vril Dox, a Kilowog scientist who accidentally teleported his molecules into, he accidentally took himself apart with a failed teleportation experiment. Then he transfers his consciousness to Milton Fine, but he eventually becomes a more familiar-looking Brainiac with the green skin and the electrodes on his head and all that stuff, while still in Milton's body. But then he kind of clones himself using, I guess, Kilowog DNA and his technology, and then he finally appears as, the more familiar-looking Brainiac from the pre-Crisis comics. And then he, again, has his skull warship and everything. So, yeah, pretty cool. The only story I don't really care for in here is the last one. Yeah, Brainiac 13. For one thing, I didn't understand it because I didn't read any of the issues before. Yeah, I guess Lex Luthor kind of teams up with Brainiac, but then he fights against him, and Brainiac's like is controlling this big, huge mech or something. But other than that, all the other stories are really, really good. Cool to see the evolution of the Brainiac character. Probably my second favorite Superman villain, next to Lex Luthor. Alright, so next we have Superman vs. Zod. It's another trade paperback collection featuring General Zod, who's also from Krypton, just like Superman himself. And an interesting thing to note is Zod didn't really have that much of a presence in the comics. He first appeared in Adventure Comics 283. It was actually a Superboy story where Superboy accidentally goes into the Phantom Zone, and Zod only appears for like a couple panels. It just shows all the Kryptonian criminals that are sent to the Phantom Zone as punishment. Yeah, there's him. He created a bunch of clones, very similar to Bizarro. And yeah, and he dressed like an actual like human military general on Earth. And yeah, there's his banishment. And so, yeah, he didn't really have much of a presence. Every time he showed up and to fight Superman, he was always part of a team of Kryptonians, and he was hardly ever the leader. Yeah, there's him. I think it wasn't until Terrence Stamp's awesome portrayal in Superman 2, and Superman 1 for that matter, that he really became established as one of Superman's more deadly recurring adversaries. Because I like the idea of there being another surviving Kryptonian that's evil and, you know, comes to Earth to wreak havoc and also has all the same powers as Superman. But yeah, but before the Superman 1 and 2 movies with Christopher Reeve, he didn't really have a whole lot of presence in the comics. I think Jax-Ur, also from Krypton, and Feora were like even more deadly adversaries. But like I said, they're usually just part of a big team, and then every time they get released from the Phantom Zone, every time they escape, they don't really stay free very long. Superman always captures them right away. But yeah, here's just a bunch of different Zod appearances. They have the cover from War of the Superman issue 1, even though that's not in this collection. I don't know, I guess they couldn't find anything better with Superman facing Zod. But I think my favorite comic book version of Zod outside the movies is the whole Last Son story arc, which we'll get to in a little bit. And he was also... I also like the Michael Shannon version in Man of Steel. But yeah, not as good as Terrence Stamp, but still pretty good. But yeah, like I said, Zod's not really one of Superman's main enemies in the comics, unless he's like part of a team of evil Kryptonians. But I do think that after the Superman movies, they kind of developed it a little more in the comics. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, there's a pretty cool story right here. It's Action Comics issue 549. Yeah, once again, it's a team of evil Kryptonians get released from the Phantom Zone, and then Zod actually is the leader on that one. And they kind of team up with Superman a little bit briefly, but then of course they turn against him, and then he defeats them all. And then here's one of the last issues of the pre-crisis Superman comics. It's DC Comics Presents 97. I've got a whole bunch of those DC Comics Presents. I looked at them in the last video. But yeah, this is pretty much the last time we see the Phantom Zone in the pre-crisis comics. And yeah, there's Zod right there. But yeah, it's really interesting to see how far it's come. Even though, like I said, he wasn't like a huge part of the comics. He wasn't even in the 90s animated series, unless you count Jax-Ur. It was kind of an amalgamation of Jax-Ur for the comics and General Zod kind of combined. And then the final story is from Action Comics. It's one of the newer ones. The Action Comics Annual 10 from 2007. And it's basically a retelling of their same origin from the Superman the movie from 1978. Yeah, there's General Zod, Non, and Ursa, the three Kryptonian villains from Superman 2. And we're briefly in Superman 1. And yeah, it's very, very similar to that. Yeah, Jor-El, Superman's father, imprisoned them in the Phantom Zone, and then of course they escape years later and terrorize his son on Earth for revenge. So yeah, Zod's a pretty good, cool villain, but like I said, I do kind of wish he had more of a presence in the comics. But I think he's starting to now. It's probably due to Terrence Stamp's portrayal, and then even after Michael Shannon played him in Man of Steel. And he's even been in a few of the television shows as well. And I think the only cartoon he was in, like before all that, was the 1988 Superman cartoon, which we'll talk about in one of the next videos. Alright, so here we have Superman vs. Mongol. Pretty much another just trade paperback collected edition, just collecting a bunch of different stories featuring the alien tyrant Mongol of War World. He's kind of similar to Darkseid, but maybe not quite as threatening. But he is super powerful, and is definitely a deadly adversary and a worthy foe against Superman. He first appeared at DC Comics Presents 27, where Superman teamed up with Martian Manhunter, John Jones. And so yeah, basically just a bunch of stories featuring Superman and others, Superman and Martian Manhunter, Superman and Supergirl, fighting Mongol, going to war world. So yeah, pretty cool collection of Superman comics featuring the extraterrestrial threat known as Mongol. I don't like him quite as much as Darkseid, like I said. Yeah, here's Wonder Woman. Mongol. So yeah, pretty cool collection. Mongol's a pretty cool villain. And here we have Superman versus Shazam, which is basically just some of the early crossovers featuring the Man of Steel and DC's Captain Marvel before he was renamed Shazam, even though the comic book title was Shazam, the name of the wizard and the name of the word that Billy Batson uses to transform into the adult muscular superhero. Yeah, it collects all new collector's edition C58, which is pretty much the first time they ever, like, they met briefly in another issue, like very briefly at the end, but this is kind of the first time they like really met and fought and like, you know, exchanged quips and all that stuff. Yeah, and then of course Supergirl takes Superman's side, and then Mary Marvel, later renamed Lady Shazam, takes Captain Marvel's side. So yeah, pretty cool collection of stories featuring the Man of Steel and the world's mightiest mortal, Shazam. Didn't work because it's not worthy. Yeah, I've got a bunch of these individual issues, which I looked at in the last video. Yeah, there's one where they fight Black Adam. There's one where they fight Dr. Sivana, who gets superpowers, and there's a really cool one in here with awesome artwork by Alex Ross, whose drawings are just phenomenal. They look like a photograph. But yeah, pretty cool. So pretty cool stories featuring Superman and DC's Captain Marvel, later renamed Shazam. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Pretty nice collection. Alright, so after Crisis on Infinite Earths from 1985 or 86, we had, around that same time, we had Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, written by the great Alan Moore, who also did Watchmen and The Killing Joke. Yeah, Alan Moore wrote it, and it was illustrated by Kurt Swan. Yeah, Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. And it was the last issue of Superman Volume 1, issue 423, 583, which made up Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. It's kind of like an imaginary story. Whether or not it happened or not, I guess is up to the reader, and I guess Alan Moore considers it real, but yeah, basically it kind of tells, it's Lois Lane telling the story. Superman disappeared 10 years ago, and she tells the whole story about the fate of the Man of Steel, some of his villains and stuff, and he like tells what happened to Lex Luthor and Brainiac, and then Bizarro, and then he also reveals the fate of Mr. Mxyzptlk and Toyman and Metallo and Parasite and just several other villains. And it's a pretty interesting read. It has a pretty interesting twist at the end. I guess I won't spoil it just in case you haven't read it, but I highly recommend it. Alan Moore is, of course, legendary, and this story is no exception. He does a great job with the Superman character. And like I said, I do really like the ending. Yeah, there's Krypto, the super dog, who's also he's a canine from Krypton, like Superman. It's pretty cool to see Brainiac in his more machine-like form, taking control of Luthor's body. Yeah, I kind of like this ending for the Man of Steel. And there's a few bonus comics in here. There's Jungle Line. Yeah, a few more that were also written by Alan Moore. And then there's one where they face Mongol once again. Yeah, great writing, great storylines, great artwork. Definitely a great read. I highly recommend it. Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, one of my favorite Superman stories ever written by the great Alan Moore. All right, so after the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, and like after the first of the solo Superman post-Crisis comics, yeah, this is pretty much the end of the pre-Crisis, the original Superman story. Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, all that all comes to a close, and Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. But so it all restarted. It all started from scratch with Superman: The Man of Steel, that 6-issue limited series I talked about in my last video. I've got issues 2 and 4, and then I've got 1, 3, 5, and 6 coming in the mail. So I'll have them very soon. I'll show them in another video. Yeah, it was written and illustrated by John Byrne, who is my favorite Superman writer, and his run on Superman is my favorite of all. He's just amazing. Yeah, he's just, when it comes to the Man of Steel, he can do no wrong. And then it's edited by Dick Giordano. And, yeah, so yeah, it's the 6-issue miniseries, Superman the Man of Steel, which starts from scratch. This is the beginning of the post-Crisis Superman. Yeah, there's all the covers. Issue 1, the alternate issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I talked about these already, but yeah, it pretty much retells the origin. Yeah, he's sent from Krypton by Jor-El once again as a baby. He's discovered by the Kents. They raise him as their own. Yeah, he becomes Clark Kent, and eventually fights crime as Superman. Gets the costume and everything. And it's a little more taken a little more seriously, and like it's a little more coherent. And he had a strict, it wasn't like they just made up his powers as they went along in the early comics, like, oh, by the way, he can do this again, and like, oh, how's he going to defeat that villain? Oh, he can do that, has that power now. Like, this one he had an actual, like, strict set of powers that they didn't deviate from, really. But yeah, I really like this. This is my favorite origin for Superman. I think they tell it much better. And yeah, Jonathan and Martha Kent do survive this time. They live well into Superman's adulthood. And I think that Jonathan didn't die till much, much later, like years from here. Yeah, here's book 2. Yeah, there's when he first dresses up as Superman in his new costume. Yeah, he meets Lois Lane. He makes a deadly enemy in Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor clones him as Bizarro. He even meets Batman. And they save the day together, even though they have different beliefs. Batman's more about striking fear into criminals. Superman's more about being brave and heroic and saving people. Or Batman's more almost like a badass anti-hero vigilante. Which is really cool. I love the contrast between them, and it's done perfectly here. And like I said, yeah, then he first, these are first meets Lex Luthor. The same story as in that Superman versus Lex Luthor trade paperback collection I showed you. Yeah, he's got a little bit of hair. Then Lois insults him, and then I guess he shaves it the next time we see him. Superman crushing a gun using his super strength. Given to him by Earth's yellow sun. And yeah, there's Bizarro, the demented, dim-witted duplicate of Superman. He's a clone, but he's very, very slow and childlike, and it's more like Frankenstein's monster. And they fight. It's very similar to the first appearance of Bizarro in that Superboy issue. So I guess Bizarro, as the kid Bizarro, where he prevents a blind woman and ends up allowing her to see again. But this time it's Lois's sister, Lucy Lane. She gets her eyesight back when Bizarro explodes, and they even speculate they might have sacrificed himself. But yeah, pretty cool fight between Superman and his evil clone. And then, yeah, the final story. Superman discovers where he really came from Krypton, and then turns out somebody steals his little rocket ship that he came here in as a baby. And, yeah, he goes visits his parents, and then he finally discovers, oh my gosh, I'm an alien, that's why I have these powers. And yeah, there's the hologram of Jor-El. Yeah, great read. I highly recommend it for any fan of the character. Yeah, the Man of Steel 6-issue limited series by the great John Byrne. And so after that, continuing where that left off, there was Superman Volume 2, Issue 1. And that was in this collection, Superman the Man of Steel Volume... oh no, I'm sorry, this is the same thing as this. This is also the same 6-issue limited series as this one, just a different cover. Yeah, there's... Jor-El and Lara and Lois Lane, Batman, the Kents, Bizarro, and Lex Luthor, and of course Superman. Yeah, this is the same exact collection, just different cover. Yeah, he collects those 6 comics. Yeah, that has the covers in the back. But yeah, and then there was Man of Steel Volume 2, which is pretty much just Superman Volume 2, which is also written and drawn by John Byrne, and then also Adventures of Superman, which takes the original numbering system from Superman Volume 1. Superman Volume 1 ended with 423, and Adventures of Superman starts with 424. So the first issue of Adventures of Superman is actually 424. So yeah, this one collects Superman Volume 2, Issue 1, where he faces Metallo, the titanium cyborg with kryptonite for a heart. Then, yeah, there's where Lex Luthor's secretary discovers Superman's Clark Kent, even though Lex doesn't believe her. Yeah, then where Superman first faces Darkseid in Superman Issue 3. Yeah, these are all drawn and written by the great John Byrne. And yeah, there's Adventures of Superman Issue 424, 425, and 426. And it also collects Action Comics, which kept the same numbering system. It just kept going. Yeah, it's issue 584, 585, and 586. Yeah, I just kept the same number system as the original. even though this is the post-crisis version. Then there's some Who's Who on the back, some biographies. Yeah, Lois Lane, Amazing Grace, and Metallo. The other one, yeah, this one has that too. I think it's got one for Superman, maybe, or oh, maybe not. Okay, never mind. And then yeah, they just kept it going with Man of Steel issue 3. It just pretty much just collects all the Superman stories around that time in chronological order, but it's the post-crisis version. Yeah, just from Superman Volume 2, then Adventures of Superman, and then Action Comics, then later Superman Man of Steel. Not to be confused with the 6-issue limited series we already talked about. It's a new title, Man of Steel. Then there was later Man of Tomorrow and all that. I already talked about this a little bit in my last video with the comic book collection. But yeah, they pretty much kept it going. Yeah, the whole, there's Wonder Woman. Yeah, the whole John Byrne run, which is my favorite. And then later Marv Wolfman and Jerry Ordway and Dan Jurgens and Roger Stern. Like some of my favorite people who ever worked on the Man of Steel. And so yeah, like I said, yeah, Volume 2, there's Hawkman and Mongol and, or this is Volume 3, sorry, yeah, there's Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and Kilowog. Yeah, this is my favorite version of the character. Yeah, I won't look through all of these because I'll be here all day. But yeah, there's I guess that's Vril Dox the second, or maybe it's Brainiac 5. Yeah, the Kaluan race. I think it's Brainiac 5 actually, from the Legion of Superheroes, from the future. But yeah, here's Volume 3, Volume 4, and there's the Joker. Mr. Mxyzptlk, that annoying imp from the other dimension that has the powers. Here's Volume 6, and that's the last one I have. I think it goes up to like 9 or 10, and this is the one I have. Yeah, there's Silver Banshee, and I think that's Lori Lemaris, Superman's mermaid girlfriend, from either the city of Tritonus or Poseidonis. I don't know. It's not Atlantis where Aquaman lives. But yeah, this one collects Action Comics Annual 1, Adventures of Superman Annual 1, Superman Annual 1, Action Comics 594, 595, Booster Gold 23, and Superman Volume 2, Issue 12. Yeah, there's Batman, The Dark Knight. So yeah, yeah, pretty cool collections. Like I said, this is my favorite run, so I highly recommend that you check these stories out. They're great. Alright, so yeah, Superman Volume 2 kept going, and of course eventually there was the death of Superman. I have a lot to say about this whole storyline, so I'm going to save my full thoughts on that for another video, but I might give it a review. But yeah, so Doomsday escapes, and he fights the Man of Steel, and pretty much destroys everything in sight, and of course eventually he kills him in Superman Volume 2, Issue 75, which you looked at in my last video. I've got both versions of that, the Direct Edition and the Collector's Edition. Yeah, Superman 75, the actual death of Superman. Yeah, he fights Doomsday, they pretty much kill each other. He faces the Justice League, and nobody can stop him. And yeah, there's his first cameo appearance in Superman Man of Steel, issue 17. And his first full appearance was issue 18, and he fought Superman, issue 19. But yeah, pretty good read. Very well written and very, very interesting. It is very overly complicated and bloated, so it's kind of hard to follow, but they do explain everything. They don't really go into depth as to where Doomsday came from. One character kind of speculates where he might have came from. They give him kind of a brief few sentences, like, no, that might be his origin, but it's just conjecture. We don't, like, they don't elaborate it until much later, after, like, long after this was over. And so yeah, Lex Luthor, like, faked his death and then, like, transplanted his brain in a younger cloned body who's younger and muscular and has a full head of red hair and a red beard. And then, yeah, Kara Zor-El, Superman's cousin, Supergirl, was killed off in the Crisis on Infinite Earth. So Supergirl's in here, but she's a protoplasmic being created by Lex Luthor. She's like a clone and has different powers, more similar to Martian Manhunter. I don't care for all that. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on, but again, the writing's really good. Yeah, it's got Dan Jurgens, who's one of my favorite Superman writers, and Jerry Ordway, like I said, Roger Stern. Yeah, great artwork, and it's definitely a must-read if you're a fan of Superman, because this is one of the most important story arcs. Then there's World Without a Superman, which collects all the Funeral for a Friend comic issues. I've got a bunch of these. I showed in my last video. It's pretty much the world reacting to the death of their savior. Lois struggling with her guilt, like the rest of the original Justice League members. Trying to replace Superman, do all they can to, save the world just like he did with all their powers combined. Yeah, there's Lex Luthor in his new body with all kinds of hair. There's the cloned Supergirl, who's not Superman's cousin. She didn't exist in this universe. like I said, I don't care for that. It's almost like the writers did such a great job, but like they had to deal with, oh yeah, there's all kinds of other stupid stuff that came about like before this. But I didn't read a lot of those comics leading up to this one. But yeah, I have read this story arc quite a few times, and I'd like to talk a lot more about it. But I'll save that for another video. But yeah, this collects all the Funeral for a Friend issues that were spread across multiple Superman titles: Superman Volume 2, Adventures of Superman, Action Comics, and Superman the Man of Steel. And here's the final one, The Return of Superman, which collects the whole reign of the Superman arc, which is the kind of the conclusion to the whole Death of Superman thing that started with Doomsday, and it's finished here in the reign of the Superman arc in this collected edition, Return of Superman. Yeah, we had Cyborg Superman, a.k.a. Hank Henshaw, John Henry Irons, Steel, then the Superboy, who's just a young clone of Kal-El, known as Kon-El, and then, of course, the Eradicator, the last son of Krypton, as he's known. And one for him, Superman might not have been resurrected. Yeah, we all knew he was coming back. Yeah, there's Steel. We all knew Superman was going to come back at one point, but we weren't really sure how. Yeah, there's Superboy. And yeah, this collects, yeah, it also features the talents of all those writers, Dan Jurgens and Roger Stern and all them. And, yeah, some great artwork as well. And then, yeah, so this one collects Action Comics 687 through 691, Superman the Man of Steel 22 through 26, and Superman Volume 2 78 through 82, and Adventures of Superman 500, which is the first appearance of Cyborg, Superman, Superboy, and Steel, all the way to Adventures of Superman 505. So this one doesn't contain the covers of all those issues, which I don't care for. I hate when these trade paperback collected editions do that. But there's a rare misprint in that some of the pages are longer than the others, which is weird. But yeah, very good read. A very awesome conclusion to the Death of Superman trilogy. Alright, so then we have the Superman Batman 2003 story arc written by the great Jeff Loeb, who also did Batman: The Long Halloween, Dark Victory, Hush, and he's quite possibly my favorite Batman writer, right up there with Frank Miller and Alan Moore, who did Killing Joke. And yeah, it's pretty cool to see them team up, and like this does it way better than pretty much any other version. Yeah, the Dark Knight and the Man of Steel. I love the contrast between them. Yeah, kind of the first storyline. They Lex Luthor is president. He hires all these supervillains like Metallo, and yeah, there's Metallo. Then John Corbin Metallo. He hires them and several others to and heroes as well, like a lot of superheroes to go after them. There's John Corbin, and Batman even thinks John Corbin might have possibly assassinated his parents. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. And then later, the second part of the series, they meet Superman's cousin Kara Zor-El, who becomes Supergirl. Even though she's come from some Krypton, but Batman doesn't trust her, and you know, Superman wants to believe there's another survivor of his race from Krypton, other than him and Krypto, the super dog. And so he's eager to have his cousin, train her how to be a hero just like him. And she arrives on the Kryptonian ship just like he did. She actually remembers her parents, Zor-El and Allura. Zor-El was Superman's uncle, Jor-El's brother. And she kind of attacks people because she's afraid when she first appears. Batman fears her and doesn't trust her. Then Wonder Woman tries to train her to be a hero, like with the other Amazons and the other Amazon women on Themyscira, which is interesting. And then, of course, Darkseid's the main villain of that whole story arc, and he tries to use Kara Zor-El for his own deadly agenda. And then, but by the end, she emerges as the new Supergirl, which is pretty cool. Even though Darkseid briefly brainwashes her and controls her on Apocalypse and has her working for him. But yeah, this is my favorite retelling of Supergirl's origin. She debuted in Action Comics 252. This one kind of retells it, though this time Batman plays a huge part in it. And I prefer Supergirl to be Superman's cousin. I don't like all the other versions of Supergirl. I think they should have just had a different name, like the Matrix clone I already talked about, and then all the others, like there's so many of them. Even Lois Lane became Supergirl or Superwoman or whatever. Alright, then we have the Superman Last Son, which I talked about, written by the great Jeff Johns, who really did a great job with Green Lantern, like with the Sinestro Corps War, They did great with the Flash. Of course, there was Flashpoint and all that. And then he's a big part of the New 52, which was another restart, much like the post-Crisis comics in 1986. But the New 52 started in 2011, kind of retold a lot of the characters' origins. It started Justice League origins. It had all the superheroes meet and form the Justice League once again, but like a rebooted, a refreshing reboot. But then it did get a little too weird. The New 52 kind of got screwed up, and then they restarted yet again with Rebirth, which I'm not all that familiar with. But anyway, yeah, this was written by Jeff Johns, like I already said, and Richard Donner, who directed Superman the movie from 1978, and of course the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, so that's pretty exciting. And then it's illustrated by Adam Kubert, who does a great job. And yeah, this is very similar to the Superman, the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. He has a forward by Mark McClure, who played Jimmy Olsen in those movies, and he talks about how Christopher Reeve is and always will be Superman. Really heartfelt tribute. And yeah, basically it deals with a Kryptonian boy who comes to our planet, and Superman and Clark Kent and Lois try to raise the boy as their own. But it turns out that the boy actually belongs to General Zod, who is basically the main villain. He's the antagonist of this series. And then it's kind of interesting because Zod and Non and Ursa come to Earth from the Phantom Zone. They free all kinds of other Kryptonian villains like Jaxer and several others. And then Superman actually teams up with Lex Luthor, who has Bizarro, Metallo, and Parasite, three of the other great Superman villains under his power. They're kind of like his they kind of work for him, and then they all team up to take down the evil Kryptonians. And of course, Lex Luthor kind of tries to betray Superman, but and Superman even gets trapped in the Phantom Zone briefly. But I really like the way Jeff Johns and Richard Donner wrote this. It's really cool. Yeah, there's Lex Luthor with Metallo, Parasite, and Bizarro. Kind of funny seeing him and Superman team up to defeat a common enemy. And yeah, this is probably my favorite comic book version of General Zod. It's very similar to Terrence Stamp's portrayal in Superman 1 and 2. But yeah, I really think that's cool how they're forced to put aside their differences and form a brief alliance to face the evil General Zod, who is imprisoned in the Phantom Zone by Superman's father, Jor-El. One of the last survivors of Krypton, and along with Superman, he tries to make Earth into a new Krypton. And New Krypton is another Superman story arc that goes into War of the Superman and stuff, which I highly recommend. I don't have it here, but I definitely recommend it. It's really, really good. But yeah, really interesting dynamic. Superman wants to raise that Kryptonian boy as his own. They name him Christopher, probably after Christopher Reeve. And then, of course, Zod doesn't want any of it. He wants him to be a villain like him. Yeah, so, yeah, very, very, very good read. I highly recommend Superman Last Son. It's probably my favorite of the more modern Superman stories. Then, of course, Superman was a huge part of Justice League, him and Batman weren't on the cover of many of the first Justice League comics. Justice League debuted in Brave and the Bold issue 28. And, him and Batman weren't on the cover, and they were barely in the main body of the stories in the early comics, which I never cared for. I guess they were busy with other stuff. They didn't want to conflict with the continuity of others. But yeah, they eventually did become a huge part of it, obviously. And then they were there quite a bit, even though they still weren't on the cover for quite some time until a little later. But yeah, of course, Superman, Batman, Aquaman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Wonder Woman, and Martian Manhunter, the 7 original members of the Justice League. Superman was a big part of it. And then, of course, it was rebooted for the New 52, Justice League Origins. There's the Man of Steel, which I really like. It's kind of, they all team up to fight Darkseid from Apocalypse and his arsenal of parademons who are invading Earth. And, yeah, it's not bad. Like I said, the New 52 did get a little needlessly complicated and kind of weird and kind of stupid, so I guess starting over is the right thing to do. But I think it started out pretty cool. It was a good comic. Yeah, of course, there's the Crisis on Multiple Earths. They established that there's already another Superman who is part of the Justice Society of America in the Golden Age comics, and it's like, well, how come Superman's a part of the Justice League in the Silver Age? Well, they established there's 2 different parallel universes, like the whole multiverse thing. Earth, the Golden Age Superman was the Earth 2 Superman, and the Silver Age Superman was the Earth 1 Superman. Then there's Earth 3, where all the superheroes were evil. Superman was Ultraman, and Wonder Woman was Superwoman, and they were all evil. And so yeah, so basically there's all kinds of crises. It pretty much started with the Barry Allen Flash going to meet the Jay Garrick Flash, and then I don't think that issue's in here, but yeah, it has all kinds of stories featuring multiple Earths with the heroes, and yeah, like I said, Superman's of course a big part of it. So yeah, I definitely recommend you guys check this out if you're a fan of these DC characters. But I'm going to look at all the books I have with just Superman in it, like Dark Knight Returns, he was a huge part of, and like I've got some Flash trade paperback collections, as well as Green Lantern and Wonder Woman that Superman's in, but I'll show those in another video. But yeah, he's a huge part of these Crisis on Multiple Earths stories, and of course this Crisis on Infinite Earths, which was pretty much the end of the what started in the Golden Age, and like it made everything. It kind of retconned everything to be. They killed off Supergirl, even though she came back later, and that the Batman Superman thing I already looked at. Superman Batman, sorry, by Jeff Loeb, and then killed off the Barry Allen Flash, even though he would also return years later. But yeah, Superman from Earth 1 and Earth 2 are big parts of it. And yeah, pretty much all the worlds are dying, and then they're all combined into one Earth at the end, just to make it a little less confusing. I think the writers just wanted to wrap it all up and give it a definitive ending. Yeah, there's the Earth 2 Superman. Did I say earlier that the Golden Age Superman is Earth 2 and the Silver Age Superman is Earth 1? I might have said it backwards earlier. Yeah, there's Brainiac's skull alien warship. And then there's Lex Luthor in his super suit. But yeah, Superman, of course, is a big part of this. And yeah, he's devastated when his cousin sacrifices herself to fight the Anti-Monitor, which is one of the most powerful DC supervillains ever. Probably even more of a deadly threat than Darkseid. But yeah, definitely a great read. I'll talk about this more when I get to my Justice League collection video, because we're already approaching the 47-minute mark, and I don't want this video to be any longer than the last one was. It's already long enough as it is. But yeah, I highly recommend all these comics. Yeah, definitely check them out if you haven't already. And like I said, definitely some great stuff. All about the Man of Steel, Superman, the Big Blue Boy Scout, Last Son of Krypton, Defender of Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Alright guys, I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching my Superman Collection Part 2 video. In the next video, we'll look at cartoons, animated series featuring the Man of Steel here on the Horror, Metal, and Comics channel. Thank you for watching. Later.